Hello, beloved. It's me, Robin Hallett, intuitive healer and light sparkler at robinhallett.com, and this is Tea with Robin. On today's episode, we experience ourselves through the personas we think we are. When we're churning in our upset, we believe that the struggle is who we are. We identify as that one who churns, and that means we're identified as the churn. Well, guess what, my friend? You are not the churn. Who you are, spirit in a body, expressing itself as you are not a churn. Waking up means we recognize we are never limited. But this energy we are churning in right now, it is limited. So let's use our struggle for liberation. Let's not hide any of it away. Let's not keep it precious. Come grab a cup of yum yum and meet me here. Well, hello, beautiful friend. Welcome back to the podcast, Tea with Robin. This is episode 150. All of the show notes, anything I mentioned, links, books, stuff like that, you will find in the episode description where you're listening now. Or you can go to robinhallett.com/150. If it's your first time here, hi, I'm Robin. This is a healing podcast. This is a place where we can come together and be ourselves. Boy, did that just sound corny. But you know, it just feels like the world is the world. And then there you are in your life doing your thing. And there's a lot to hold. A lot of energy to deal with, and for us awake heart sparkler types, creatives, you know, we feel things deeply. We go through things deeply, and it sometimes can seem like the people around us don't get it. So I hope this is a place for you where you feel like you're in a posse that gets it, because that's exactly who we are. This love posse here, we get it. We're on the journey too, walking with you. Maybe we'll never meet. Maybe we will. It's really not the point. The point is for each of us to be alive in our own hearts and show up on this journey. And in this time I spend here every week, I hope it helps you to do just that. Yeah. Friends returning, hello. How has the week been going for you? And how is the weather in your heart today? Always, it's my prayer that you are navigating these times, navigating the transition. You know, lots of you with lots of transition energy right now. It's that time of year, right? We just had Labor Day. We just had, in the States anyway, that's traditionally the time when swimming pools close and kids go back to school. And, you know, that's been happening earlier and earlier. But also so much with the virus and, you know, all that change. So I hope that you've been holding your own heart and choosing what's good for you, choosing what brightens you, choosing what makes you happy. Yeah, and dancing like no one's watching. I love that phrase, dance like no one's watching. You can do that in your heart. You can do that in your thoughts. Yeah. Over here, it's a beautiful morning. I just dropped number one husband off for their annual Good Guys fishing trip. If you've been listening here a minute, you may have heard about these trips in the past. Every year, these guys get together. It's going on 30-something years now. They have, some of them, been friends since the 7th grade, some since high school, some since college. They've been roommates. They've been best men. They've been pallbearers. It's kind of a wild thing. Long friendship. And so It's an annual tradition. Every year I drive him to one of his besties, drop him off. We have the sad goodbyes while they're all so excited, It's not really sad. I love this time. I also took the week off, and I'm looking forward to some special time of my choosing, time of dancing because nobody is watching, that kind of a feeling. Maybe I'll stay up late. Maybe I'll sleep outside on the lounge, the chaise lounge, and listen to the crickets, have a bonfire. You just never know. So I'm recording very early in the week. Just gonna do a week of shaking it up and doing things differently. So when this airs, he'll be home, and it'll be fun to listen back and think about this day. Do you ever do that? Yeah, because we're cool like that, aren't we? So why don't we have some yum yum? I am drinking instant coffee. I love this instant coffee. It's tastily, organic, free range chicken, whatever you call it. It's the good stuff, and it's delicious. And I know a lot of us turn our nose up at instant, but secretly it is fun. It's nice, and it tastes delicious. And yeah, so there you go. So there's my little ramble on that. I've got some heavy cream, whipping cream, and the coffee, and a little sea salt. Cheers to new possibilities. Cheers to this time of transition. And cheers to you. Just for you. This cheers is for you. Ooh, that's good. It's hot. Good, though. Yummy. Yum. Well, friends, I want to jibber jabber a little bit today. I realized I had an anniversary on the podcast. I didn't even know. 3 years I have been running this, offering this podcast, offering this light, and 3 years, committed 3 years of showing up. Other than the occasional holiday, I took a break for, I went to Bali, I went to Assisi. Other than the occasional weekend off here and there, I have been here every single week for 3 years now. And it feels like a major milestone. It feels like a major aha. And also, isn't it funny that it's something that came and went and I didn't even notice? Yeah, so if I hadn't been posting to my stories and looking at the archive on this one particular day, I might not have noticed. So I shared that in my stories this week. And a friend of mine, Carol, are you listening? Carol, can you hear me? Wrote the amazingest note. I wanted to read this, and I promise this relates to you, so stick with me here, okay? Some of you have been listening since that first episode in real time. Some of you have heard them all through your binge listening, right? So I want you to just take a minute and say, wow, I've been listening. I've been receiving. I've been committed. I've been committed all this time. So I'm asking you to consider having a wow and an aha moment for yourself and your journey right now. And I'm looking up your text here, Carol. She said, really, 3 years, 2018? So impressive, inspiring, incredible, badass, and unbelievable. Congratulations. That's like a dragon that you're celebrating. Congratulations. And that's about right? Because things can be dragons that every time we make a celebration, we make another step, we can celebrate that progress. Congratulations for this anniversary. I am in awe of the power, strength, love, generosity, and wisdom you have and put into this podcast work week after week since September 2018. And I am so grateful you do. Your podcast is healing work in real time, and you are amazing. I admire your dedication and that calling you carry so gracefully. Every week, it is very powerful. Wow, Carol, I want to say thank you. And I hope you don't mind that I'm reading your message here. But it's a message I think all of us need to hear. You know, whether you have been carrying yourself through this pandemic time, or you know, like I said, you've been on this healing journey with me. You've been receiving these healings, these teachings. You know, I receive them too. I feel like it's light coming through. It's not necessarily you're listening to the personality of Robin, but you're listening to the light shining through both of us, you know? So I celebrate this. It's huge for us both. And, you know, I wanted to say, are you receiving the love that's coming your way? Because this is the kind of love that we want to be receiving, this kind of acknowledgement, this kind of affirmation, this kind of, you know, celebrating you. And not just like, yay! Those are real, powerful, tangible, descriptive energies that Carol wrote. You know, it's a big deal. And we reserve that kind of stuff sometimes. We want it to come from people who absolutely can't give it to us, you know? They can't show up. Maybe they're dead. You know, my mom is gone. Sorry I said it like that, but maybe they're gone. Maybe they're gone. My mom is gone. My dad is gone. My stepdad is gone. And also, they're all people who never would have said these things to me. You know, that's the rub there. They would have said something different. And I wonder if you relate to that. But do you have a posse of friends who do share that light with you, who do share those things with you? I find sometimes the biggest journey is taking it in. This is cute, but here comes the garbage man. It's garbage day here. It's garbage day here. Can hear him revving his engine. You know, so much of the time when people come to me for a session or a reading, they're like, what did I come here for? Why am I here? Why am I here? And it's like, you know, I can tell you why you're here. And I'm going to tell you right now why you're here. You ready? You're here to live your life out loud and enjoy it and to receive love and remember that you are love. But I tell you, for so many of us, it's not a satisfying answer. And that's because we don't know how to receive. We're not taking it in. Sometimes it's a beautiful thing to realize I can let go of what I've been striving for. You know, when I think about 3 years of the podcast, and I mean, I have to mention it here because you have been listening to me. Unless you're new, you've been listening to this journey I've been on. You've been hearing this journey. Some of you write to me about it. Some of you talk to me about it. Some of you encourage me about it. So I want to talk about it a little bit, that I'm learning to let go of my own agendas and have fun with it. To let this be a joyful experience, something that I love to come and do, and time to hang out with you. It helps me to receive that as well as I acknowledge that. And to also say to my ego self, to my small self, what if it didn't matter as much as it did to you? Like this feeling of so that, I want to do a good job on the podcast so that. Do you have some so that's? I talk to people all the time who are worried and stressed out, and, you're up against a deadline, or you're worried about whatever you're worried about. And there is this huge looming so that. But what if your so that could be so that I acknowledge the fullness and the beauty of who I truly am, or so that I can remember what really matters. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, what if this thing of getting somewhere didn't matter as much as it did, and we showed up in the joy of what it is that we're doing every single day? I tell you this sometimes, our journey is really about remembering who we truly are. And the best remembering happens when we're caught in a story about getting somewhere or becoming someone, or, our life is half over, or, whatever the story is that you carry. You all have this. I have this. Everybody I know has this, even when we're talking about the story and appreciating how far we've come, we're still having a story going on, So everybody has a version of this in their own way. What if it didn't matter as much as it did? What if we can recognize that the story we carried is not as important and held, so closely held to our hearts, like it was the only Rama Lama Ding Dong going on, that you become somebody, that you find someone, that you, acquire a certain amount of money or a certain real estate or a kind of car or whatever, get married, have kids, The blessing of helping people, as I do, is I hear the stories, and I have this really great opportunity to witness again and again how we're all so freaking amazing. We all have the blessing. We all have the grace and the light in us, and we're all being given another opportunity to wake up. We're all being given every single day that opportunity to wake up. And, for some of us, we've really made it a way, a practice, a process of constantly churning in the story, and then some version of defending ourselves in the story and fighting the story, fighting the story, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I talked about this on the podcast last week we talked a bit about relationship and friendships and people who just don't get you. And I shared my post about go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. In case you listened, that was 149. Now here come recording on a Tuesday. That means the first Tuesday of the month. Here we go with the tornado warning alert test. I'm just going to let it run, because if I stop now and try and remember what I was saying, and, it's going to sound weird in the recording. So let's have some tea, a coffee. It's not tea, Robin. So I was saying it was episode 149. We can spend a lot of time in our stories. I was talking about relationships where you don't feel seen and you don't feel met, and there's something wrong, They don't accept you. They don't get you. They're indifferent to you. They don't answer your calls, whatever it is. We can be lost in the story of finding our people forever. Nobody gets me. Nobody gets me, I mean, we could be virtually upset forever about everything, couldn't we? And do you know people like that? I know people like that. And sometimes I realize I'm people like that. There's nothing so wrong or so special, I should say, about us personality types, us people, churning on what's wrong. I mean, that's what we do. The mind is thinking 24/7. It's pretty hard to not have churny, upsetting thoughts. But I think the practice is, instead of focusing on those problems and letting them lead you, that you stay focused on what you really are, who you really are, and what this journey is really about. And this is why studying, receiving teachings, spiritual teachings, receiving time with a healer, a therapist, a coach, somebody who's reflecting light back to you, it's so important. Because without that, we believe we are the thoughts. We believe we are the dramas. We believe we are the upsets. And the possibilities, that your mind will churn to you, they're pretty crappy. They're pretty terrifying. They're pretty awful. I know you've been there. Sometimes I talk to clients and the blessing of walking with people ongoing, when somebody trusts their journey with me and we walk together for a longer period of time, it's not just a one-off, is that I can see the journey that you've been on. And I remember, I don't know if that's part of the blessing of being me in this lifetime. I have a memory, like sometimes I'm really surprised by it. But I remember things, and I especially remember the struggles you've been through. Some people I know in their 30s and 40s now that I knew when they were in their 20s, and I remember phases. And I can see that this is just another evolution of the same work you're doing. And I feel blessed by that. I feel really blessed by that as a mentor in someone's life, that I know to hold this place with you very tenderly, that it's not about the story, though, that it's about something much deeper. And one of the cool things is, like, a person can be so upset, and you know this in your own life probably, so worked up, and then it gets better, and the situation passes, or the thing gets handled, or whatever it is, and you no longer remember that. You don't remember it. You can't recall it. But I do. And sometimes, it'll be a while, maybe a couple months since I saw somebody and they were really, really working something intense. As we do when we call our person and we're like, I need a session, let's talk. And you work on stuff. Then you talk to them a few months later. Maybe they don't even remember the story. Maybe they don't even remember going through it. That is the blessing. That is the blessing, It's so amazing to me. I feel very inspired by that. And sometimes it helps me remember when I'm in the middle of my own struggle or my own worry, feelings that I have and getting momentarily derailed. I think about it. I think about you. I think about the way we toil on things, the way we churn with stuff. And I remember that this will pass and I won't remember it. I love the Stoics through Number One Husband. That's what he enjoys studying, the Stoics. The only constant in life is change. It's one of the first sayings I came across, Heraclitus. We can count on this changing. This will change. This will change. What if I didn't fix to it? What if I didn't zero in on this and continue to affirm my story? You know? Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. And I wanted to build a little bit on that from last week. If you heard the episode 149, Holy Shift, Sacred Triggers, Holy Shift. You know, we are definitely each experiencing certain awakenings, certain channels or tunnels of awakening. I don't know what to call it, where, you know, maybe you're experiencing yourself as a professional self, or as a mother, or as a friend, or as a spouse, or a personality who helps people, or a whatever it is. Think about yourself. You're a yoga teacher, you're an art, you're creative, you're this, you're that. We're certainly experiencing ourselves through stories. And so these sacred triggers that I was kind of beginning to talk about last week, you're going to have repetitive upsets. That is just like, oh my God, I always go here. It's like me in the podcast. I mean, if you've been here, I'm not even, I'm not going to retell the words again. I really want to work on advancing myself as well in this journey, right? We have familiar stories. We have familiar places. We have familiar eddies that seem so true because we continue to think these thoughts. And we think we are that churn we're doing. We think we are the struggle. We identify as that. We identify as the upset. Do you know what I'm saying? We're more identified with the churn than anything else. We identify as the churn. Think about that for a second. Identified as the churn. That means we need the churn in our experience to continue. We need the churn to happen. I identify there too. I recognize that too. And if you've been listening for a while, you hear me talk about that, in my opinion, way too much here about the podcast itself. But like, let's use all of our struggle for our liberation, my friend. Let's not hide any of it away as precious because we're embarrassed. Do you want to spend your life churning? Or do you want to spend your life remembering who you truly are and using these churny opportunities? Developing the love and the patience with your own small self stuff. I mean, I come around to that every week, again and again and again here, because every week, I get caught in the churn about the podcast almost every week. Are we? I mean, it would be so different if we could welcome in the churn with love, but know who we truly are, instead of following the cuckoo that the churn is telling us to do. I just rhymed that. Yeah. So let's bring this back to you, okay? What are you identifying as today? What are you identifying as right now? What have you been defending yourself against in your mind? It won't change. It's not going to stop happening if you don't put your foot on the ground to stop the spin. Do you ever have bed spins? That was always my secret. If you don't stop the swirl, you will simply swirl like a little tornado, aren't you? Me too. So let's take a pause and see, where are you at? And what would it mean to stop churning? What would stopping churning mean for you? Where are you on that path? If we are feeling sincere about waking up, and I know that's a triggery thing to say. Are you sincere about waking up? But I gotta ask, because sometimes we're really attached. And it would be more honest to say, I'm sincere about beating myself up again or believing I'm a piece of crap, I'm sincere about wreaking havoc and creating chaos in my world. And sometimes we need to go through those periods, don't we? We go through them and we learn a lot. It's certainly a productive thing, like Paul Seligan, the guides, talk about. These are very productive cycles we can get caught in. But the truth is, we are not the churn. And personally, I'd rather be waking up in these places of identity. You might say, I'm a person who is healing. I'm on a healing journey. A lot of you I talk to are on this healing journey, long-term healing. How do you identify there? I tell you, excuse me, I am asking myself these very same questions this very same day, this very same moment as you. I'm asking myself, how do I keep identifying with my long-term healing journey in a sense that's harming me? It's harming me to keep identifying as my struggle. It's such a big thing. I could cry right now how much time personally I feel I have wasted being upset about shit that doesn't matter. Except you can't say that. It matters a ton. It's so important. Our struggle, our churn. In some ways, it's so important, but only, I guess, in the service of remembering who we truly are. And I know it's hard sometimes. I have friends in places of awakening where I don't feel I am yet. And sometimes when I'm upset, what I need is a hug. I don't need the spiritual jargon and the, crap about you're the creator of your own reality and you brought this on yourself or whatever. But sometimes you get that and you resist it because that's a sign you're attached to your struggle. You're attached to your identity as the one who struggles. You're attached to defending your position, burrowing in deeper. And friends, in my life, I'm the only one who can leave that place. And in your life, guess what? Yeah, same. Waking up means we recognize these familiar stories, these familiar places, and we don't just beat ourselves up and, kind of like spank yourself and get back into alignment. It's about saying, this is my holy shift. This is my sacred trigger. This is my awakening journey. And yeah, waking up is scary. It's big work, but I'd rather be doing it than continuing on in the same old suffering, telling the same old stories, believing in the same old BS about me or my life or even my possibilities, and then investing in the drama again and again and again. I mean, that part of us that suffers on a regular basis, wouldn't it be nice to help them, and not just temporary help. What you don't want is to be helped back into your hidey hole, right? Think about it. Self-realization, what does that mean? It means to remember the big self, who you truly are. God in a body shining as you. You are a greater expression than the one small self you think you are. And it might be honester to say you don't care about that, but just know, if you're not interested in soul tending, if you're not interested in healing sacred triggers, they're going to continue. That's just how it's going to go. They're going to continue. The fullness of who you truly are is not just the churn you're doing. And we got to take that churn, if we want to take the churn anyway, and make a turn. I said this a little while ago, some stuff I have told way too long, and it's become indulgent in a way. It's become very indulgent, and I'm beginning to hear my own selfishness in that, my own self-involvement in that, my own ego in that, and it's a really good thing to sit with. And personally, I don't want to be shoved back into my hidey hole. I want to realize, I was listening to some Seth, remember Seth? Some Seth the other day. Show notes, link in the episode description. Seth says the self is not limited. And Seth is talking about the true self. We are not limited unless we say we are. And that's what we're doing all the livelong day-o. Be more honest to go around. I'm limited. Hi, I'm limited too. Hi, I'm in my churn. Hi, I believe I'm a old fat piece of crap today. Hi, I believe my life hasn't amounted to anything except we would go around saying, I am that. I am an alcoholic. I am a fat pig. I am hopeless and helpless. And friends, if you're getting what I'm saying, you can change your wording today. You can stop it right now. And I'm saying change the wording because you're incongruous with your spirit self and your deepest knowing. You know this. Even if sometimes what I'm saying spikes and upset. It's an upset in the personality self, the small self. So, more honest to be spirit in a body, believing, masquerading as. You know what I'm saying? You can drop it right now. The best gift in our upset is the reminder bell, the alarm bell that hopefully is ringing for you and you're going, oh yeah, I'm out. I am not just temporarily out. I am all the way out of this energy. I'm going to drop it. Yeah. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Love me a little Snoop. Doggy, doggy. Oh, God. Yeah. What else do you need to hear today? What do you need to tell yourself and hang on to today? What is it? Tell yourself right now. For me, it's like, keep realizing who you are. Keep remembering, even if you don't believe in God. I'm pretty sure you'd like it to not be that you suffer so much of the time, right? You'd like it to be that you feel good in your heart about who you are and what you're doing, right? You're not the crappiest version of yourself. So we have to keep realizing who we are. We have to become willing to set certain stories down. I've wasted my life. I've ruined my life. I'm not where I'm meant to be. I should have owned a mansion by now. How come I don't have this kind of money? How come whatever. get to the root of that story, you're going to find something very simple, like this suffering is not who I am. And all along, it's about receiving who I truly am, about feeling loved and accepted and cherished and wanted and welcome. And the only way we'll really do that is to come into the heart space and do the work, remembering who you truly are. Keep realizing who you are. Keep waking yourself up. That's the deepest work. And personally, I do feel it's helpful that you're in service. Who are you helping today? Who are you helping today? Who are you helping make it a better day for them today? Did I say that right? You know what I mean. Who are you helping? You know, for me, that's part of what drives me on, doing the podcast, writing my newsletter, and you are welcome to sign up for Happy Mail. There's a link to that in the show notes as well. You know, posting my Instagram stories, my little daily diary of what I'm up to and my thoughts, and just sharing. That's part of why I do it. I mean, it's fun for me, but to be in service. Here comes a lawnmower man. So let's do that as well. Do something nice for someone else. Do something kind. Do some service, some silent service, however you can think of it. Just smile at somebody at the store. Sometimes I'm amazed when I realize, you know, think about somebody else for once. I'm amazed by that. A lot of us carry this story that we're too busy. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I don't have time. I don't want to start anything because then I'll get stuck. I don't have time for this. Well, wake yourself up in that story, my friend. The part of us who suffers on a regular basis is the one who tells stories like that. These moments in your day, they offer you great awakening. How do you want it to change? How do you want it to heal? So instead of focusing on the old problems and the old defenses and the old dilemmas, maybe you can let some of it go. Maybe you can acknowledge it doesn't really matter. Even if you feel defended and argumentative about me saying that, you know, would be natural to feel that way. I feel that. I worry about it. I worry about saying it. I worry somebody will feel that way, but also it's the truth. Even if you feel that way, it's still not the truest truth. You know, the truest truth is you are God in a body. You are light in a body. Yourself, your true self with a capital S, is connected to the light of all that is. If you feel stuck, if you feel scared, if you feel lonely, spend some time tuning in there, tuning into your heart. So I hope something in here resonated today. I hope you loved it. And, you know, like I say, 3 years. I'm so grateful for our time together. I'm so grateful for our walk together. And so I think we should read a letter now. And while I'm pulling that up, friends, you know, if this is speaking to you today, if you're loving this podcast, I would appreciate it if you would share it on or leave a review. Reviews are always super helpful. You can always press like on the post if you see it going by. One way or another, I appreciate that you are in service to this love we share here on Tea with Robin. thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go to, here's a letter. Hi, Robin. I hope you're doing wonderful. I'm working through something here, and I had the insight to write to you. I know over the last few podcasts, you've spoken about relationships, especially in the time of COVID. One relationship that really messes with me is with my husband's mother, my mother-in-law. I feel like I'm constantly practicing with her. I don't want to be a bad daughter-in-law, but there it is. It's not an easy relationship. We struggle a lot. There is so much tension between us when we're together that when we're not together, I'm relieved, except when I think about the next time we have to be together, then the tension looms. The story that comes up a lot for me is if I am a spiritual person, as in I want to be the light and I choose love, why can't I have a deeper, more loving relationship with this woman? I get it. Our vibrations might not be in line with each other, and no matter how much love and forgiveness I send her, we just don't align. But how can I accept that and move forward? Even seeing her name appear on my phone or receiving a text from her, it gives me a tightness in my gut and my heart. I do think she loves me. I do believe she means well in her own way. I even notice how this negative energy takes over when other people speak to her, like my husband or other people when we get together in person. I see how the entire room just can feel heavy and uncomfortable when she's there. Now I know that what I think, I project onto the world, and from that I create my own reality. So I can understand that this may be part of what I'm creating and continuing to experience. And I understand that this may be just how it is. But I also feel so bad that I can't connect with her more. And I feel bad that I allow her to upset me so much. If I'm being totally honest, her behavior is negative, passive-aggressive, narcissistic. She can be unforgiving, judgmental, and cast a negative light. But I know that's her, and it doesn't need to be something I let in, but I do. I do. It affects me. It affects my family. It affects my kids. I can't change her. I think I really get it, but how do I move forward? This time of COVID has been somewhat of a blessing because we're not always having to get together. It has given us permission. But now that things are loosening up, I'm feeling the fear again. I am not looking forward to spending more time with her, and I feel awful saying this. I feel like I'm a hypocrite. Me being someone who wants to help others, always choosing kindness and love, connected to my source. Me who is practicing being connected to my source. Maybe deep down I'm just a bitch or a jerk. I feel so drawn to hear you speak to this. I so much appreciate your interpretation and any guidance or light you may have. Love you bunches. Wow, love you bunches too, my friend, and thank you for allowing me to read this here. Friends, can you relate? Maybe you don't have a mother-in-law, but there's an ex-wife in your history, ex-wife in your life. Maybe there's an aunt or a step-sibling or a family member. I mean, I'm not trying to draw any special lines here. Who are we without our practice people? Who are we without these practice people? Many, many, many of us are in blended families, for example, and not everybody is on the journey. And we get to practice. So where I feel drawn to is a couple of places here. The expectation that somehow on a spiritual journey, we're going to have it be perfect. There will always be a place that we get to practice. And if we're really interested in not being in attack mode or defend mode, this is a Course in Miracles practice. If I defend myself, I'm attacked. The ego loves attack and defense, so it's always lining people up in our minds like, toy soldiers, lining them all up. Okay, maybe it's your Barbies, lining up all the Barbies. Yeah, like we're on good terms, not good terms. Good person, not good person. Was mean to me, not mean to me. Like we do it. Don't be alarmed that this mind of yours does that. It's a process it does. It's a way it stays alive and active. It likes the chatter. You've got people, you're like, they're going to be mad at me unless I do this, this, and this. Okay. The thing is to wake yourself up. Wake yourself up. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? I'm a spark of the divine. I'm in charge of realizing myself, self-realization. I am God in a body shining as me. I am a greater expression than the one small self I think I am. This is an opportunity to keep realizing who I am. And this is an opportunity to realize who she is. Now here comes the interesting piece. Where the ego drags you kicking and screaming to the next event with her, or wakes you up in the middle of the night before you have to get together, or you've got that email sitting there you haven't responded to, or, God forbid, you guys are going on a 2-week adventure together, some family vacation together. I hear all kinds of things like this, instead of kicking and screaming, dragging your feet, feeling it's all hopeless, upset, and then punching yourself in the face half the time because you must not be doing a good spiritual journey. Just keep waking yourself up. This is the deepest work. Keep looking at her, waking yourself up about who she is. The light in her is the light in you. She is God in a body shining as her. When it says, I am the way, the truth, and the life in the Bible, it's not about some religious icky moment. It's about realizing, we're here on a journey to wake ourselves up, to remember the way, the path, to remember the truth. I'm God in a body. I'm light in a body. And the life, the only aliveness there is remembering who you truly are, and you can help her, but she's not your project. It's not your job to fix her. In fact, it's not anything other than to recognize you love your brother. Course in Miracles, everybody's a brother, but many teachings speak that way, to recognize the love you have for your brother, not the cuckoo, not the drama, not the negativity. And I mentioned this last week. We had a letter. You might, if you haven't heard 149, the letter, you might want to listen back because it had some similar questions. You don't have to go chasing where you're not being celebrated. You don't have to go chasing the places that are not light-filled and joy-filled. And where it doesn't feel easy, you don't have to do it. But to understand the love, the light, everybody has Buddha nature. Look for that in her. Be determined to see that in her. Not when she says assholey things to your kids, are you saying, oh, everybody has Buddha nature. To know this isn't you. If there was a line like that you could say, hey, this isn't you. What's going on here? What's going on here? Wake her up. You can use moments like that, for sure. But my point to you is the light you mentioned this spiritual journey on. Well, we're also here to recognize the divine in others, even when the small self cannot. You're not required to be her bestie. You're not required to even speak with her. I think this is a confusing line for people as well. When you recognize that you guys are in different places, energetically speaking, and that it's actually causing more friction for you, for your kids, or for her. The agitation when you are in a different place, the agitation can be great for the other person, and it causes so much friction. It becomes worse when you try to get together, so you're not required to speak to them or get together with them, but I feel we're required to know who they are. And sometimes I ask myself, and I said this last week, because sometimes I get this icky mail where people are actually quite, they're mad at me. They feel judged when I'm sharing. They feel like I'm making fun of them, or I'm saying something negative about them. They identify as the other in what I'm sharing. And they get mad at me. I don't have to explain to them because that's their drama and their story. But I do feel I am willing to allow the divine to work through me. And some of these situations are holy shifts. They're the sacred triggers attached to things like, I want everybody to love me. I want everybody to like me. You want your mother-in-law to, you want to, let's be honest, look at your fantasies about her and don't be afraid to look at them. But our work is, are we open to love? Are we open to, instead of just fearing the boogeyman, so to speak, are we open to the love in the boogeyman? Are we open? Is it safe to forgive her? Don't forget to forgive her small self while you recognize. But do you believe you deserve your freedom? Do you believe you're allowed to not have to get together with people who are repetitively toxic with you? people who pinch you, energetically speaking, emotionally speaking. Do you believe you deserve space and freedom without that in your life? I think permission is the only problem there. We feel guilty. Are you strong enough to bear the guilt? Can you do it? So, beyond that, I say, of course you're a good person. Don't make this about you, accept the part that is about you. And it does seem like, it's hard for you to admit you don't wanna. But maybe that's the healthiest thing. Sometimes shaking things loose means acknowledging how they exactly are. Let all things be exactly as they are. Accept it. That's another Course in Miracles lesson and an episode here that might be good to revisit. It's better to be honest than staying in your churn. It's better to be honest than stay in your churn. Too many of us, relationship churn has become a way of life. Again, I say to you, where do you need to drop it? When Paul Selig, when he talks about, I see you in your beauty, I see you in your right to be, in all that you have known, all that you know and have known, I see you, and I know who you are. I know what you are, and I know how you serve. You are free. You are free. You are free. You can see her as she is. You know who she is, the light in her, the Buddha nature in her, and you can choose to be honest by not engaging with who she's not, knowing she's free. People are free. You are free. You are free to hold yourself to a standard of always love and light. You wrote that in the letter, always kindness and love. That is a lot of pressure. God is in the shit show too. Sometimes when we can lower our shoulders and just be honest, things can move. You don't have to like her behavior. You don't have to like her ways. You don't have to like her visiting. You don't have to like her. What do you have to do, though? The same light shines in her and you. What do you have to do? I feel in our hardest hearts, look at that, our heart of hearts, we know this to be true. Most often we allow our fear and the churn take us over, and we do the same thing we've always done. How long it takes is up to us for us to make a new move. Beyond that, remember, we can only do our awakening work if we're using our suffering as the bell to come back to our practice of remembering. And hopefully none of that just sounded like massive woo-woo mumbo-jumbo, but I'm guessing it doesn't. So all my love to you, my friend. I've got those people in my life as well, and it helps me to know you're there doing your work. And I'm here doing my work. And any of you relating to this, whether it's your mother-in-law or someone else, let's share in a virtual hug right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Just put your hand on your high heart. Put your hand on your chest. And let's imagine ourselves all around the world, listening now. And we do spread all around the world. So much love. Yeah, and peace and love. And I'm always here for some one-to-one time. If you'd like some more support with this, sessions with me, they're the bomb, according to, friends I walk with, but also I hope you can hear how much I love helping. And I offer packages of sessions for a deeper savings, and also sliding scale for those of you in that place where it would work better for you to choose a rate that you can to choose your session fee, it's all there for you in the show notes, okay? Cheers to that. Well, friends, episode 150, 150, my gosh, they all feel like milestones to me. It is in the can. And now I am off to a week of joy and fun and enjoyment. And I am keeping a wary eye on the small self that is going to churn problems for me. I know it. That's just what its function is. So I'm keeping my eye open for some of that. Not expecting it, not welcoming it, not inviting it, not trying to create it, but just saying, Robin, remember, sometimes these emergencies and disasters that creep up are really a sabotage move of the small self. So, yeah. Well, I wish you a gorgeous week. Come back and listen to this episode again if it helped you. It's nice to make a few passes and see what's here the next time you do. Lots of love. This has been me, Robin Heartsparkler Hallett. I'm going to see you here next time. Bye-bye. Life is very short, let's make the very most of it. You are a precious gem and I love you. Do, 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 do. We are here to shine and shine bright. You are a gem and I love you. Do, 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 do. Life is precious and you are a spark of the divine. So shine like you know it, rock it like you mean it, 'cause you really, really mean it, and mean it, and mean it, and mean it, and mean it. Don't let crispy people tell you that you aren't sparkly, 'cause you are, 'cause you are, 'cause you are. Thank you. I like that. I love it, honey. Thank you. Give me a kiss. Thanks.